So today we're back in Torrevieja and we're going to be talking about the 3 things you need to think about if you're moving to Spain. Hopefully we might have learned from some of the mistakes that we made and pass on some of that experience
to other people.
to other people. So that's what we're talking about today.
It is what we're going to be talking about. First of all, let's
We
just
are
have a
in
look at
Torrevieja.
some of the beaches before we get right into the depths of it. Make sure that you watch all this video because you might pick up a hint or two and you might learn from
things that you've maybe not thought about or considered. Because choosing where you're going to live permanently, it's a big deal.
It is that.
You know, we didn't get it right.
No, we
That's
didn't.
for sure. We didn't. Now we know. First thing you need to think about is the lifestyle that you want. It sounds quite obvious, but people don't consider certain things, and especially if you're moving to a country like Spain, like us, we love coming on holiday here. When you live here, of course it's completely different. It's not like being on holiday. You've got to consider what your day-to-day life is going to look like. So yeah, the average Monday morning, you've got to think about, especially when you're working, what do you do on your lunch break? Think about things like that. It sounds silly, but you've got to imagine your whole life and what it's going to be like. Finding somewhere that can give you that, that's the hard part, and that's where you've got to do your research, because there's so many different areas. You've got to look at, if you've got kids, what kind of schools you want them to go to, that kind of thing. It's not just your life if you've got a family, but thinking about the lifestyle you want to achieve is one of the most important things. I think that's where we went wrong. We had an idea of the lifestyle that we wanted, but we ended up in an area that couldn't really offer us that. We've moved a couple of times, and now I think we're at a point where we know where we're going to get that lifestyle that we want and what we picture in our minds. But it's taken a while. So it is something to consider, that just because you imagine your life in Spain and what it's going to be like, where you choose to live might not match what you want. It might not, it just might not offer that to you. You're going to have to make some concessions, and you're going to have to consider, what's really, really important to your lifestyle that you want to achieve. What do you want to experience day to day, week to week, and what can you do without? Be realistic about it. You will have to make concessions because you're not going to find this perfect little package somewhere. That doesn't exist. You've got to be realistic. Moving on to point number 2. So the next thing you need to do, this is something I've learned, you've got to be honest with yourself. Again, sounds simple, but over the last 5 years, I've met loads of people who have moved to Spain, and some of them have thrived and they absolutely love it. But I've met a lot of people who haven't, and I've met and spoken to people that have really struggled. One of the things that I noticed was these people have come to Spain and they've had this romantic idea about what their life is going to be like, that they're going to immerse themselves into typical Spanish lifestyle and really enjoy it. On the one hand, some of those people have ended up in an area where you just don't have that. They're in a tourist resort. There's nothing much going on. It's not really the typical life that they wanted, and they didn't realise that this place was like that. On the other side, I've met some people as well who have gone to live in traditional Spanish villages, and they thought, immerse themselves Spanish lifestyle, but they've really struggled with the language. They found it so difficult, so integrating into the community has been really, really hard, and they've become very, very isolated and ended up moving away from that area to somewhere where there are people with a common language, just to make life easier. So these are the things you need to think about, and it is about being honest with yourself. What do you think you can actually manage? What can you achieve? And then find the place that's going to offer that to you.
Meanwhile, down in Torrevieja, quite a few people on the beach. as you can see. Time is it? It's only about
It's 20 to 12.
28 to 12.
Now, obviously, me and Barry live down on the Mediterranean coastline. We chose this area because we love it. We like the climate and we like the beaches. And one thing we realised is being further away from the beach, we didn't like that at all. Really didn't like it. We are going to head back to closer to the coast. So that takes me on to the next thing. You know, imagining the lifestyle that you want, being honest with yourself about your expectations. You need to picture yourself just doing day-to-day life. You know, your chores around the house, taking the car for its ITV, which is your Spanish equivalent of the MOT, you know, getting a plumber in to fix something. These little things that you might not think about when you're on holiday, it's going to be a day-to-day thing that you've got to deal with here.
Yep, it is that. And it's something that, you know, you can have Facebook groups and you can ask people, but ultimately, you need to really think about quite a few things.
You do. And Barry just mentioned their Facebook groups. Now, I have a love-hate relationship with Facebook, I really do. Sometimes these groups can be super helpful and one of the best places to go to get local knowledge. On the other hand, you can get the trashiest, most just terrible advice, which is not advice, ever from people. You know, you really do have to take it with a pinch of salt.
This is true. And they've still not replaced all the sand down here,
No, they've
which
not.
is from the bad weather that we had a few months back. So the weather today is nice and sunny. The heat wave that we've had has disappeared.
Finally.
Thank goodness.
We did have about a week there where the temperatures were a lot higher than the average for that time of year. And
Yeah.
a couple of days were so uncomfortable, weren't they? Very, very
Yeah.
hot.
Well, that
Yeah, it was. Whew. I would not like to be in Madrid, that's for sure.
that's turned into a tapas bar.
Yeah, saw
It's
that
changed
the last
again,
time we were
yeah.
down, yeah. Shisha.
Let's check out the beach over here. See how busy it is.
It's mobbed.
This one's
You
busier.
can
This
see
one's
by the sea
but
of
is it
umbrellas.
busy due to the fact that there's less sand and people are crammed in
Into a smaller
to the
space,
smaller
of course.
space, which is more than likely the reality of the situation. That it's a little bit of a smaller space. Yeah, because you can see all the sand. They haven't replaced all the sand yet. So you've probably got the same amount of people crammed into a little area. Big queue for ice cream. Is it for ice cream? Cold drinks, ice
Cold
cream.
drinks and ice cream.
No, it's not. It's for something else down the front. The town council are giving something away. What are they giving away? What's the town giving away now?
Jesús, María y
Your
José.
harder cash. What are they giving away?
It's the recyclable, usable shopping bags that they do every so often.
Ah,
There'll
right.
be bits and pieces in it.
See,
I think
that's-
it looks like there's a little towel in it this year.
Yeah, that's the only reason Spanish will queue up is if they're getting something for nothing. It's a bit like Scottish that way. They'll queue up to get something for nothing. Got to pay for it. You're not going to queue up, are you? What is next on the agenda?
Well, the third thing, we think, brutally honest with yourself and each other. If you're moving on your own, it's a lot easier. You've just got yourself to consider. If you're moving as a couple with your family, you need to have a serious look at what your must-haves are and what you could do without. And a lot of people think that something that they absolutely must have, once they've been living here for a while, they realise, oh, wait a minute, I don't even do that anymore, I don't need that anymore, or whatever. And other things that you might not have considered as something that you really do need, you discover when you've been living here for a while that you really miss it, that it's having an effect on everything. So yeah, you have got to think about what your must-haves are and what you can do without. Being brutally honest about these things, and I keep on saying be honest with yourself, because we all are guilty of romanticising our lives and what we want it to be like and how we picture it. So being honest about these things and don't overly romanticise your life and the lifestyle that you want to achieve. All of these things are going to help you narrow down your search for the perfect place to live.
And also, the reality is, unless you're coming over here to retire, you're not going to spend every single day on the beach. So when you're sitting on the beach and you're looking at these wonderful pictures of people on the beach, the reality is you're not going to be doing this every day. I mean, I can count on one hand how many times we go to the beach on a yearly basis. Even when we stayed here, you know, when the beach was right on our doorstep, we didn't go to the beach. We were lucky if we went to the beach maybe once a week.
I didn't take full advantage of the fact it was on my doorstep, and that's something I deeply regret now that I don't have a beach on my doorstep.
Yeah.
But yeah, we are heading back in that direction towards the beach again, so yeah, it's good. But you do need to think about these things. You know, if you see yourself living in Spain and you wake up in the morning and you're wandering down to buy your fresh bread, not French. There's a wasp on your head.
I wonder what that was. Yeah, so...
you know, if you picture yourself wandering down the streets, hola, buenas, to all your Spanish neighbours, and, you know, they're all, hola, you know, and you see yourself like this and it's all lovely, there's certain places you're not going to get that.
Yeah.
You need to be realistic. You know, if you move to Lasagna or Playa Flamenca, you're not going to be surrounded by Spanish neighbours.
Yeah, but some people want that though. You know what I mean? Some people want that type
of lifestyle. You need to be honest with yourself about where you want to live and the lifestyle that you want.
And it's also a case of do you want to move to an area that does have a lot of tourist apartments, a lot of tourist houses. You know, that gets really busy in August, but is completely dead in December, January, February, March.
And pretty much if you're heading towards the Mediterranean coast, anywhere along this coast, that is what you're going to get. You know, going a little bit inland, even just a 10 or 15 minute drive away, you can have these beautiful little villages where you've got the best of both worlds. It is worth it. We chose, obviously, down the south of Spain, southeast of Spain. But the north of Spain, again, completely different. Different climate.
So what would be your number one go-to bit of advice for anybody that was thinking about moving to Spain?
Number one, I would say you've got to do your research properly. But when you do that research, you need to relate it to what you want out of life on a day-to-day basis. Okay,
next question. Do you load up the van and bring everything, or do you sell everything? And because you've got to remember that when you buy a house in Spain, it comes with all the furniture, comes with absolutely everything. So do you bring everything, or do you sell everything?
That is the big question, Barry. And there's two types of people. There's sell it, take everything. It's a hard one to answer. I'll tell you what we did. We pretty much sold everything. We did bring some things that we felt were
and I regret not bringing so many things.
You regret not bringing things. I regret bringing something.
Yeah, you regret bringing too much, and I regret not bringing enough of the things.
Because there's different things that we wanted. You know, I have things in my kitchen that I don't even know what they're for anymore. Because I've never used them since I moved to Spain.
Yeah.
Probably because I cook less.
Yeah.
That's
the big part. So anyway, is that has covered everything?
I think so, Barry.
Perfect. So on that note, I think we'll just finish this video up. Make sure that you give the video a thumbs up. Leave us a nice comment if you're thinking about moving to Spain. Tell us whereabout. And if you have already moved to Spain in the last year, we are still looking for people that would like to jump on a podcast with us so that they can tell us about their experience, which would help other people. Because there are still a lot of people, not only around the UK, but around Europe, that are thinking about moving to Spain, not just for this lifestyle, but for the lifestyle of
everything that
Spain has to offer.
City life, you know, rural life, everything.
Yeah. Anyway, on that note, hasta luego.